moves, that he's always trying to improve the position of his pieces, and that's what you really like.
Yeah, sometimes even humans can play this better than computers. Computers always want to go for the throat, and okay, when there's a clear win, obviously they play better, but when it's just about pressuring...
And no risk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's also a human element that the computer can't really gauge. We don't want any risk here as Fabiano. We just want it to be smooth, and that's what he's doing. Maurice?
Well, it's incredible. I'm going back on this game, reflecting on it. Often when you lose a game, the way Magnus will now, he'll sit back and say, where did I go wrong here? And what's interesting about this game is the way his knight ended up being the main culprit as to why he lost this game. This knight moved, knight from c5 to e6. Remember this knight, it started on f6. Way back in the normal beginning of the Berlin, it went from f6, sorry, to e4. And then after this move to d6, and then after a trade, it went to f5, still traveling around, and we'll jump ahead to this position where that same knight moved to e7, and then after a couple of moves, we jump ahead again, that same knight moved to d5, and after c4 to b4, and then after g4, he played knight a6. I mean, this knight has been dancing and prancing again all around, and then knight c5 on top of everything, and then we had this trade, and finally, after all that wandering knight roving around the board, he played knight e6, and it turned out to be the piece that lost him the game because of that tactic we mentioned, knight takes e6. He couldn't capture back here because of the devastating bishop to e7. It's so interesting that you have basic principles. We say, don't move the same piece twice in the opening. Well, this piece moved like 8 times in the opening, and then the final resting place was horrible, and he ended up dropping a pawn and then quickly going down from there. So Magnus is going to have to look back on this game and wonder, because in that moment he didn't have to play that move. He could still keep the balance alive. But here he's going down 0-2, no question about it, and Fabiano has not let him off the hook even a little bit since that mistake. He has just been a machine rolling towards victory, not playing computer-esque moves. You're right, playing more like a human, but controlling, dominating, showing in effect why he's number 2 in the world and a rightful challenger to Magnus Carlsen's title.
And I think Carlsen will resign here, actually. I don't think that he'll make another move. The threat after rook g2 is g7, followed by just, well, winning the game. It's just completely over. You then have several choices of how to do that. Rook g6,
yeah,
rook transposing into knight takes h6.
You bring the board up for us, please. And here it is.
Yeah, we have the
Magnus Carlsen. Always a good sports person, smiling. He's lost the game. Caruana, 1.5 out of 2.
He doesn't seem to be smiling now, guys.
No, that's definitely not a smile.
Not a smile on his face, and he is not discussing variations either, like he did yesterday. I think he realizes what's happening.
Well, that's
today.
because he's upset more by today's loss than yesterday. Yesterday was a freak occurrence, lightning. He actually played quite well. Today,
only move, knight takes f5, f takes e6. Carlsen won the pawn back. But Caruana saw up to here, knight g3, and he assessed his position as, if not significantly better, just winning. Let's explain why. White has got essentially a pawn advantage because of this double pawns, and they can't create a majority, whereas White can create passed pawns, as we'll see on the king side. Furthermore, the black king is cut completely from the action. The white rook does a great job. And on top of all of this, White has got an outstanding minor piece versus a much more inferior minor piece in the form of the black bishop. The white knight has got so many squares it can jump to, patrol and exert pressure from, and the black bishop doesn't have any targets. So every trump is in white's favour here. As a result, technically speaking, it's probably just a winning position. I'm not going to go through the rest of the moves in so much detail because it's just an effortless display. Let's see how Caruana just builds up the pressure and starts to roll. So he goes king to g2, gets the king active, now plays a very nice move, rook d3, which introduces in some lines the opportunity to exchange rooks. Once rooks are exchanged, making the advantage count is even easier because, again, the knight just dominates and you can create passed pawns. So rook f7, knight h5 with the idea of going f4, bishop d6, rook f3 first, rook h7, rook e3 hitting the pawn, Rook e7, of course you can't go king d7 because of knight f6 check. So rook e7, but now f4. So now that's phase 1 complete, mobilizing the pawns. Bishop a3, get the king mobilized as we do in endings. Hit the bishop, create the first pass pawn. Okay. King active. The knight comes back round. Now, as I said, this knight can come to e4. Bring the other pawn up the board, why not? And this is a case of just not rushing. Slowly but surely, create the pawns. Magnus tries to erect some kind of outpost for his bishop, but it's just all in vain, because once this passed pawn is protected on the 6th, there's nothing that black can do. Rook e8, f5, this is another classy move. The point is that after takes, one idea would be to take with the king, still wins, but actually the move he played, king f4, is just a very classy move, because now he would love to take on f5 with the knight. If rook takes e2, knight takes e2, thankfully we hit the bishop first, after which we take with the king, and there's just no hope. So king f4, he played rook h8, but after knight takes f5, bishop f6 and rook g2, with the idea of g7 and rook g6, and if bishop g5, well, doesn't need me to tell you, rook takes g5 would just finish the game, because these pawns supported by the knight would just roll home. Basically a flawless game by Fabiano Caruana. Every move was the best move. One of the most impressive victories I've seen by him this year, perhaps even ever. Hope you've enjoyed that. Hope that's taught you a lot of things. Certainly taught me a lot of things. Taught me a lot about patience, how to slowly build on your position. Notice how he never rushed, especially in the ending. A lot of us would be throwing those pawns up the board, but without much care. He got his king active, kept the king cut, tried to exchange the rooks. Every move was precise. Just a brilliant performance by Fabiano, and by far the most outstanding game of the day. So, hope you've enjoyed that. Join me again tomorrow, where I'll be commentating on the next game of the day. And remember to check out the news article, which will have a detailed report of this round by our wonderful Colin McGaughty. So, for now, good night from me. See you tomorrow.